Hello and welcome back to Yoga with Laura Ashland. Thank you for subscribing. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. And also there's a prompt for sharing. You can share to your various social media. And again, welcome back to Yoga Clips as we're clipping right along. Pardon the pun. But these are short vignettes, 10 or a few more minutes of different body parts and how they work, giving you a general description of the anatomy. It's obviously very complicated. I've been studying for years. I study these big, thick books, and I go back to the beginning again, and I start reading it again. And there are some marvelous books on the anatomy of the body and hatha yoga. And I recommend that you, if you are that interested in anatomy, that you could look through some of those books and get an idea. If you are not teachers of yoga, you're just practitioners, it's still good to have a basic understanding of how the body works. One of the simplest lines of thinking for the body is understand the anatomy, control the anatomy. From the control you get power, and from continued practice in power, you begin grace. When you see people moving effortlessly, flowing, they almost seem like they're floating. They still began with originally learning anatomy, controlling the anatomy, power through the control, and grace comes from the power. So if we keep that in mind, it's a very simple way of looking at things rather than the super complex body parts. We're not kinesiologists, we're not osteopaths, we are not medical doctors trying to teach the deep parts of anatomy and yoga therapy and so on. So this is just very basic, very simple, but just trying to get the lay person's information as well, so that you understand your body and how different your bones are put together from someone else as well. And we will continue our little series. Today's the neck. The neck, oh my gosh, the neck. The muscles in the neck are like belt straps, and they keep a 6 to 8 pound, in some cases 12 pounds, bone of the skull up. So the muscles in the neck are made to keep lifting, and they're very powerful. That's their job, is to keep the skull lifted up, not to let it sag and get soft, but to lift it. So when we go to rotate the neck, or revolve the neck, or to flex or extend the neck muscles, which in turn bones, that's when we need to be very, very, very careful about moving the neck. This is great, but as soon as we turn into a fluid movement, a flow of the neck, we want to go really super slow, because their job is to be straight up, powerful muscles, tendons and ligaments in the neck. Again, a very complicated series in the neck as well. So to move gently and slowly and gracefully is key for the muscles in the neck, rather than someone calls you from another room and you go, yes, honey, I'll be right there with you. And you do these jerking motions with the neck. That's when the neck runs into trouble and we've pulled something in the neck, or it's sore, it's stiff all the time. We don't move it around enough. We stay in one position because we're constantly doing tapping of the keys, or reading of a book, or staring at the TV. Very stiff in the neck. So the practice of yoga is fabulous for moving the neck around and creating grace as you turn. So the next time your partner or whoever, your family members, call you from another room, or you are responding to them, don't turn as a jerk. Sorry. But you want to turn slowly and gracefully and not jerk the neck. You just want to say, yes, what can I get you? Yes, I agree, or disagree, whatever. So moving the neck with grace is huge. And that's actually what these muscles need. They need that beautiful, slow, rotating pace. All right. the neck. Bones in the neck. You have 7 bones. Cervical spine. I'm going to turn my back to you for a moment. And this begins the body parts as we move down the back and down the spine. But we'll start here with just these 7 bones. Many, many people have rods and fusion and titanium and all kinds of things supporting in the neck. They get bone spurs in the neck. They've been shaved off. All kinds of issues with the neck. So those of you that have bone replacement in the neck, super, super, super careful on your movement. But let's understand how the neck moves. So nice neutral, lifted open spaces in the cervical bones. We tend to sit like this, and the jaw begins to protrude, and we get that arc in the spine. There are natural S-like curves in the spine. The lordosis and kyphosis of the action of the spine brings buoyancy to our step, and we're moving like this. We don't have a straight up pole of spine. However, we don't want to be in this arcing, protruding jaw coming forward. That just brings tension in these already powerful neck muscles. So what we like to do is find a nice lift in the back of the neck. You can even take your hand at the occipital bone here, the base of the skull, and lift up. And we all know how yummy that feels to have this open cervical area, rather than we're just kind of contracting it down. Shoulders rounded, everything got squeezy in the chest, abdominal quit working, so we want to bring it up nice and tall. The range of motion in the bones of the neck are the flexion, when we're dropping the chin down, is a 50-degree range of motion in pretty much the C1. Okay, we could say the whole spine, but there's more range of motion degree-wise in the first cervical bone attached to the skull. Now remember, that bone is the one that's knocking the skull, or I should say the skull is knocking it all around all the time. So a lot of the C1 and 2 take a big hit because they're kind of controlling the skull going around. So be very, very careful of your C1 and your C2. They're the closest, they're on the front line, so to speak, of the movement of the skull. They have a 50-degree range coming into flexion, a 60-degree range coming into extension of the cervical bones, a 45-degree range of a lateral movement. Remember that spine has the 4th movement, which is lateral. It does everything else the other joints do: extend, flex, rotate. But the neck bones can also do a lateral, but that's a 45-degree lateral flexion. Again, these are general. It has an 80-degree rotation in most cases. Again, all your ranges and your degrees are yours, whether we're rotating out, whether we're laterally flexing over, extension, or flexion. Everybody is different, your range is different, but no matter what happens, we love to make sure that through the yoga practice that the neck stays supple, stays floating, lifting through the pec, lifting through the intercostals of the rib, into the pectoralis, large and small, abdominal lift. All of this muscular structure here in the torso helps keep the cervical bones open and lifted, helps keep the muscles strong and lifted in the neck. And by moving gracefully and slowly to turning the muscles of the neck, rotating the cervical bones is very important. So that was our yoga clip today on the neck. Again, this is very basic. I want to reach a wide variety of audience and not talk too technical. I don't know all the grand technicalities of each and every part of the anatomy, but I've been studying it for a long time. I have a pretty good grasp on anatomy. I am continuing to study anatomy because it does get more complex. It gets much more interesting, much more. I used to teach English. Yes, I was a teacher. Anyway, fabulous. Enjoy. Take care of your neck. Namaste.